Hello, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Sada, and I'm back to read you some more Appleblossom the Possum with my friend Appleblossom. We left off on chapter 9, and in chapter 9, Appleblossom is stuck up in the tree, and she just watched the dog chasing the red ball and acting kind of in a way that she thought was pretty bizarre. And then the people coming out and getting the dog to come into the house. So we're going to pick up there. I think we're going to have time to read chapter 10 and 11 today. So get ready. Chapter 10. Antonio and Amlet are the first possums back to the mulberry hedge. They arrive a good hour before sunrise, and Antonio carries a large plump tomato in his mouth. His many teeth have punctured the red skin of the tasty treat, and juice drips from the corner of his mouth. He drops the prize with great relief, as he calls out, "Appleblossom!" No one answers. Amlet shouts using his full acting voice, which he hopes sounds commanding and filled with authority. "Appleblossom the Possum, we're back!" Still no answer. "She's missing her entrance," says Amlet. He and Antonio were certain that they would find her waiting just where they left her and that she would be hungry. The two possums look all around the hedge, and Antonio even makes the bold move of scurrying out into the opening to investigate a row of newly planted marigolds. But there is no sign of the littlest possum. After conducting a thorough search, they return to the hedge and the tomato. Before, the vegetable was some kind of a treasure. Now it is a sagging reminder that their smallest sister is missing. Antonio rests his head in defeat against the tomato like a pillow. Amlet takes a seat next to him, and that's where they are when Atticus, Alan, and Alberta, and Alyssa, and Ajax, and Abdul, and Augusta, and Alfonso, and Alejandro return. They have dined on the skins of avocados and the rinds of moldy cheese. They have chewed on fried fish tails and potato peels and the cores of rotting crab apples. Antonio and Amlet listen to everyone's stories of the night, but they are both only thinking about Appleblossom. And then the sky starts to change over to day. They all squeeze together behind a rusty metal bin that is near the hedge. No people have been near it for a long time. Augusta looks around and wonders, "Where's Mama?" But no one knows. Like Appleblossom and Angie, Mama have not come back. The A-babies are exhausted from their first night alone. Minutes later, only Amlet and Antonio are awake, but hidden when the sun comes up. Amlet whispers to Antonio, "Mama didn't come back to check on us." Antonio takes some time before he answers, "No, but she's probably watching us." This cheers Amlet up. "Really? You think so?" "Yes, I'm certain." Antonio hopes that he is convincing. Amlet looks pleased. "So it's some kind of a test to see how we get along without her. Thank you for telling me, Antonio. I didn't know." Amlet's voice is sleepier now. "Maybe Appleblossom is watching with Mama. Maybe she's the lucky one." Chapter 11. The world of daytime is loud and much more chaotic than the night. Appleblossom has never been this tired, but she tries her hardest to stay awake. It helps that there are so many intriguing things to see. It is still early in the morning when an enormous yellow metal monster appears. It isn't a car or a truck, but it must be a family member of those beasts. The monster stops in front of the house, and its red eyes flash in front and back. The same little people who earlier was with the dog named Columbo comes out of the house and goes to the yellow metal monster. What do you suppose the metal monster is? A school bus. Appleblossom studies the creature as she walks. The people has brown fur on the top of her head, and this is now tied back in a red bow. She has large eyes that are the color of the little pebbles lining the stream through the canyon up in the hills. They are brown, but bright swirls of something close to green are there too. There are other people inside the metal monster. Some of them wave their arms as the little monster from the house approaches. The people laugh. She is acting happy. Appleblossom listens. The monster's giggle is delicate. It certainly doesn't sound like it belongs to an animal that is mean or ferocious. No, the little monster sounds sweet. The metal monster opens his mouth and the people climbs inside. Then the yellow monster closes his mouth and moves away down the cement stage, and Appleblossom finds herself sad to see the people go. As the day progresses, the dog comes out 2 more times. He has a routine which involves lifting his leg, running in circles, and communicating with the red ball. The only other activity he undertakes is sniffing the ground vigorously, and yet he never once cranes his head and looks up. If he did, then he would see the small possum clinging to one of the top branches of the tree. He is, Appleblossom decided, not a very complex life form. The sun is higher in the sky when the yellow metal monster returns. The little people get out, and Appleblossom watches as she makes her way back to the house. She stops before the entrance and leans over some purple flowers. Appleblossom feels certain that the little monster has caught sight of a juicy caterpillar or maybe a plump spider. But this isn't the case. The people pushes her face close to the petals and simply inhales. She smells the sweetness. Appleblossom wants to shout from the treetop, "I love flowers too!" But she doesn't dare. And then the little monster plucks one of the blossoms and disappears into the house. Appleblossom waits for the rest of the daylight to see the little people again. But this doesn't happen. It takes a long time for the sun to work its way across the sky and slip below the distant hills. But finally, night falls. Appleblossom makes certain that the dog has just been out to chase his red ball, and once he is back inside, she starts down the tree trunk. Appleblossom appreciates the fact that she has thumbs. She can pick up snails and pillbugs and sweet fallen apples. Watching the dog use his mouth for everything has been an eye-opener. All he can do with his clumsy feet is scratch at the ground and send dirt flying all directions. It's possible, she decides, that not having proper hands and feet is what makes him run in circles. Appleblossom has survived a big test. She has stayed out all day and now returns to the mulberry bush with her head held high. Antonio sees her first. His ears shoot skyward, and as he springs up on his back feet to get a better look. "Appleblossom!" he shouts. He and Amlet are waiting in the exact spot where they had all been the night before. "What happened? You didn't come back." It was horrible and scary and also incredible and amazing. Is that possible? Antonio grins, and almost all his 50 teeth can be seen. "If you say so, then it is." "Was Mama mad at me for not being here at bedtime?" Antonio isn't sure how to answer, but Amlet blurts out, "Mama wasn't here either. We thought you might be together." Appleblossom is surprised that Mama didn't come back, but she sits down to tell her brothers everything that she has seen and experienced. She talks about the people and the dog and the red ball. She speaks until she can't form another sentence. With her brothers at her side, she finally has to drag herself to the mildewy umbrella against the wooden fence. The folds of the rotting canvas are like a hammock, and it is there, with her tail curled into a pillow, that she falls asleep. She is nocturnal, but she sleeps through the long night and all through the next day. She is cozy and safe, and most of all, alive. So Appleblossom had quite an adventure, didn't she? And I mean, she was proud because she held her head up high when she saw her brothers, but I think her brothers are probably pretty impressed with the adventure that she went on too. I also think it's interesting that she is becoming so curious about the dog and the people. So that'll be an interesting thing to come because Mama seems to be warning her young possums that we need to be very cautious. So we'll see what happens with Appleblossom and her new adventures. All right, see you next time. Have a great day.